What up friends, Liron here, and today we're taking a look at this book, How to Make a Watercolor Paint Itself. What up friends, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video, and today we're doing a flip through this book. It's been a while since we did a flip through, and I have this book for a while now, and I really enjoyed it. I really love it. So again, How to Make a Watercolor Paint Itself by Nita Engle, and the subtitle is Experimental Techniques for Achieving Realistic Effects. And the reason why I love this one so much is that it is true, it is experimental techniques, and the author really goes into details on how to achieve these kinds of effects. So what I like about this book is that it's kind of an interesting paradox between two ideas. On the one hand, all of the paintings are very loose, and you can see everything is sort of blended together, and the whole work process is very refreshing, but on the other hand, the result is realistic. And this is, I think, sorry about the gleam, here we go. So this is what makes this one so amazing, that on the one hand it's very loose, it's very fun, but on the other hand the result is somehow realistic and really is, I don't know if necessarily loyal to the source or to the reference, but just conveys a great sense of light and color and vibrancy and life and darkness. So it's just really a good one. So I'm really excited. Let's change the angle and take a look at this. Okay, so let's get started. I'm really excited because I love this book. So here it is, How to Make a Watercolor Paint Itself, Experimental Techniques for Achieving Realistic Effects by Nita Engle. I really love this, and it is a little more advanced, I think. Okay, so let's start taking a look at this. The reason why I say it's a little more advanced is because technique comes last, really, in my opinion. With watercolor, there's just so much to learn in terms of matching the values and visualizing things correctly. And the technique, the actual application of paint, how you put it on the paper, is really secondary to that. But in any case, if you are advanced, I think this is a great place to learn more. And to open up your horizons. I think I'm kind of near that point, but not exactly there. So anyway, look at this, just beautiful spread here in the beginning of the book. I believe that's the White House. And you can see already the style of the author is really kind of a mix of many things. You have a lot of dryness here, and then all of this is just tons of colors mixed together. I do want to zoom in on this one already and show you some of the details. Most of the other paintings are going to be smaller, so we won't have to zoom in and out so much, but let me zoom in a bit for you. Okay, so just so that you can see a little more here, we can start in this corner. You can see just beautiful the way this sort of pole thing stands here and holds it all together. All of the windows there at the back, the trees done wet in wet, all the fields here, kind of everything blurs together. Nita uses a lot of kind of masking fluid, things like this. She likes to keep the highlights that way, and so it's just a very interesting, especially for me because I work so differently, so I learned so much from this one. Here you can see also the fields done really extremely wet in wet. Okay, so let's zoom out and continue looking at this. So moving on, let's look at some more work, the table of contents. Mainly I want you to see the artwork because it's fantastic. On the one hand, there's the approach is so messy sometimes, and you get these beautiful textures that there's no way these are done really slowly or meticulously. These are really I mean, they are done deliberately, but with a lot of spontaneity and just letting the paint do whatever it wants to do. Again, like the name of the book, How to Make a Watercolor Paint Itself. So this is a really cool thing. You can see here just amazing, like this little painting here is just it's a sunset or dawn rather. This is dawn. Let me zoom in on this one. I want to show you this one again. So you can see here, really not a lot of details, but just enough to get the message across and get the feeling of the view of this beautiful landscape. Just really love this one. Let's move on and see what else we got here. So here we have this sort of snowy terrain, and one thing I noticed immediately is how there's an alternation between very wet and wet. Let me zoom out a bit. A lot of wet and wet here. She lets everything blend, and it's very soft, so it feels like light is shining through. But then you have a lot of harsh edges as well here also with the branches. Just very interesting. Let's zoom out for this one. Okay, so this is one of my favorites in this book because there's just so much going on, and yet she keeps it all very tidy and tied together. So you get all of the trees here, lots of fog or clouds, and you can't really tell what's back here. Maybe it's another mountain, and you just see trees in the background. Maybe it's skies. There's a bit of snow here. The water looks fantastic, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. And it's really a paradox because on the one hand, by the way, here's her palette. On the one hand, it's so messy and spontaneous, but on the other hand, you get such a realistic result. And this is what makes this book magical. You see here, I will later show you another one of my favorites here, so it's just amazing. She's a big proponent of doing a lot of work that really allows you to freely paint. So what she does, sorry about this gleam or this shine, I'll try and hold it like this. She encourages you to do some things that allow you to loosen up. So you see no drawing, no sensors, no rules. This is a really good exercise of just spritzing paint around, seeing what happens. I want to show you some other more advanced stuff here. Look at this, like the way this is sort of a beach scene, and you can kind of see maybe rocks and the water falling on them, and then there's these small details like the birds. It's just beautiful. I want to show you, there's one in particular I wanted to show you. This one, it's on the back of the book as well, I believe. Yeah, so this is another fantastic work, and she shows how to use masking fluid to really hold the shape of these rough edges together with the very soft background of the skies. Let me zoom in a bit so you can better see this one. So here you have it, just beautiful. You can really get a good sense and feeling of the waves crashing onto the beach, the wet sand reflecting whatever is above it. All of this wet and wet changes, and you can see here also in the work process, just spritzing the paint, letting it, a really thick paint by the way, letting it mix around. It's just really, really beautiful. The processes are amazing here. Here's another beautiful scene. And this is all when it's approached. Okay, so the next page is my favorite, so I hope you like it too. But just the way she approaches it is so loose, but somehow it wraps up into something that's really realistic. So just amazing. So this one, I have to say, is one of my favorites. Just a beautiful scene. Let me zoom in just a bit more. I really want you to see the details on this one. So check this one out. Just fantastic. The way it says breaking into the sun. So there's this ship and all of this stormy area, and then bam, into the sunny area. And the way these clouds sort of obstruct the sun, there's just a really good sense of light in this particular painting, which makes me love it. Really, really one of my favorites here. There's another one that's fantastic on the previous page, and let me show you. And the title is really, really suitable. So it says After the Rain. And if you look at this, maybe I'll just want to make sure there's no gleam. So you can see here, this is a dock scene, and there's all of the houses and just some things in the horizon. And I think what really makes this one special is if you look at this area here, the gradual change from gray to white, it really gives you a sense of the clouds are moving away, so the rain stopped, and there's just clear sky, but you can feel the moisture with the softness of the edges. And here, just fantastic. This one and the boat, the breaking into the sun, these two are just my favorites here. Let me check if there's something else that's really interesting. I'll zoom out. So here's another great one. I obviously don't want to go through the entire book because I want you to see it for yourself if you're gonna get it. So this is just fantastic again. What I like about this one is, first off, these sort of highlights on the water are amazing, I think. Also, the way these shadows are cast through, and their softness on the snow is just really captured, I think, in an amazing fashion. Like really, really good job. Let me show you. This is the one from the cover. I'll show you here again. So another really beautiful one. And basically this is it. So she just continues like this. Let me zoom out a bit. So she also covers a lot of specific techniques like stamping, using different materials like sponges, stuff like that. And just a really, really enjoyable book, I think. I highly recommend it if you're a little more advanced. I think it is a little harder to learn from. I think it can be a little discouraging if you're just getting started, because it just seems so messy, and if you try to recreate something like this, if you don't have enough experience of the basics, it's going to be super challenging. But I do think there is some merit even to beginners here, especially the exercises on getting loose and on spritzing the paper, the color, the paint all over the paper, and just letting it mix, and using the this atomizer or maybe even something else to really squirt the water onto the paper. I think there's a lot of good stuff in here, and I think also just in terms of inspiration, and for a lot of people mainly in terms of inspiration, this is a great book to have. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Let me change the angle and we will wrap up this video. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this book review and flip through. Again, highly recommend this one, especially if you're a little advanced, if you have basic knowledge in drawing and matching values and being able to preserve your highlights correctly. And also just the very basic techniques with different brushes and blending and stuff like that. Okay, now even if you're a beginner, there's a lot of good stuff. Again, it's very good in terms of inspiration, just to see what is possible. And I think this book really helped me at a time where I felt like a bit in a rut. Because I needed something to break my trajectory back then. I felt like everything is kind of the same, and then I saw this very different approach, and I didn't necessarily apply many things that I learned here, but it did give me this whole epiphany that a lot of things are possible with the medium that I never even thought about, okay? So I think you should definitely check this out, whether you're a beginner or advanced. I think you'll get the most of it when you're a little more advanced or intermediate. So anyway, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to do a lot more book flip-throughs and reviews. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube and follow me on Snapchat and Instagram for more cool updates, different things from my life, views from my city, and a lot of other cool stuff. Okay? So I will see you again in another video really soon.